These are the JLAB Jbuds Air 2nd generation. And these are the AirPods Pro 2nd generation. I think we need to make one thing clear. These are better. And at $250, I expect them to be better. The real question here is, how much better? So to determine how much better the more expensive earphones are, we are going to grade them based on 7 of the most important categories that make earphones worth the money. And those are comfort, audio quality, battery life, connectivity/compatibility, smart features, durability/build quality, and one of the most important, the price and how it compares to the value. Alright, let's start with comfort. Comfort is one of those things that always depends on the person who's wearing the earphones and their tolerance to things like the rubber ear tips as well as the materials and even the sound quality. I wore both of these for one full day each and found that the JLAB earphones actually stayed in better than the AirPods did. I did switch out the tips on both to find the best fit, but still, I couldn't find a tip that worked for me 100% of the time as I did with the JLABs. Now you might have a different experience since ears vary in size, but I have heard from multiple people that the AirPods tips tend to be a hit or miss for them in terms of fit. Other than the fit, the comfort level for both of these is actually pretty good. The JLABs are a little heavier, but I found them to be less slippery than the AirPods. I actually wore both of these for hours at a time, and upon taking them out of my ears, neither felt like a huge relief as some of the other cheaper brands tend to do. The AirPods were a bit more comfortable because they were lighter and the rubber tips do feel more premium, so that may have something to do with it. Overall, I give the JLABs a score of 8 out of 10 for comfort and the AirPods a 9 out of 10. Okay, so audio is very important since we're talking about items that are meant to give us the best possible experience while we're watching a movie or listening to music. But let me tell you a truth that I think most of us know. The higher you go up in price, the less the gap between good sound and bad sound opens. Let me illustrate that. These are $20 wired headphones, and they sound pretty good. I can plug these anywhere and I will get decent sound for very little money. These are $70, and they sound pretty damn good and pretty damn close to these $250 earphones. Now, do these sound better? Of course. The vocals are clearer and less mixed, and the bass is not overpowering while still being present. But I'm not an audio expert, and neither are 99% of the people that buy any of these earphones. The truth is that you can use these $20 earphones or these $70 earphones and get perfectly good sound quality for the things we use them for. Now, of course, the smart features get tremendously higher the more money you spend, more on that later. But just in terms of sound quality, I will give the JLABs a score of 7 out of 10 since the audio sounds great for the price, just a bit mushy sometimes. The AirPods, I will give a score of 9 out of 10 because they balance the instruments, vocals, and bass perfectly, and they really are a joy to listen to, especially for a device this small. Battery for both of these devices is great at the start. The JLAB earphones claim a battery life of 40 plus hours, that being 10 while you're wearing the earphones, and then 30 more from the case. Now, this is with you listening at medium volume and active noise cancelling off. The battery life goes down with the latter turned on especially. The AirPods, on the other hand, claim 6 hours of battery life while wearing them and up to 30 hours using the case. However, this is with active noise cancelling enabled, so they both have similar battery capabilities. That is to say, good battery capabilities. I never drained either before putting them back in their charging case, and the case never completely drained before being plugged back into a wall. Overall, I give both of these a score of 9 out of 10 for battery life. Okay, this is a huge category for both products in different ways. On the one hand, the AirPods Pro will always work exponentially better with Apple products. That is of no fault of the JLAB earphones. But if you own a lot of Apple products, that is something that you definitely have to consider. I found myself a bit frustrated every time I had to turn off the Bluetooth of one of my devices just so that these would be able to connect to a new device. Now, the process isn't difficult or lengthy, but it does become a bit of a hassle, especially when you're trying to use them with 2 or more different devices. You will still have to do this, of course, even if you own Android devices, seeing as these earphones cannot connect to more than one device at a time to my knowledge. The JLAB website claims to support Google Fast Pair for all of their 2nd generation Jbuds Air and Epic Air products, but I actually couldn't find a video of this happening, and I don't have a Google phone, so I cannot test these claims. If it works as intended, however, then pairing with a Google phone should be as easy as it is with the AirPods using an iPhone. I cannot overstate how much easier it is for iPhone and other Apple product users to use AirPods instead of other brands of earphones. Connecting to the product is easier since it is done so via iCloud, which automatically syncs them across all of your devices. This means that if I'm listening to something on my phone, I can instantly switch over to my MacBook just by pressing play on something while wearing my AirPods. I don't have to stop and turn off the Bluetooth and then wait for my earphones to get into pairing mode. If you already own mostly Android devices with Windows computers, then this will not make any difference for you since the connectivity will be the same with both. Alright, so giving these two a score based on connectivity is a little bit more difficult than any of the other categories. On the one hand, if you own mostly Apple devices, then the AirPods are just better for you. But if you don't, then these are just as good, if not better. Please understand that there is nothing you cannot listen to with these earphones. They will still connect to all of your products just fine. It just takes a bit more time and effort. And if you're willing to put in that extra effort, then these are perfectly fine. So overall, I give the Jbuds a score of 6 out of 10 for connectivity, especially since you will still have to go through the same steps regardless of what devices you own. As for the AirPods, I will give them an overall score of 8 out of 10 because I do believe that they are amazing while using them with Apple products, which that's what they're intended to do, but they do quickly lose all of those benefits when switching to any other product. You would think that because these are $250 and these are $70, these would have much more and better smart features, right? Actually, no. And yes, let me explain. In terms of smart features, both the AirPods and the JLABs have the essentials, such as noise cancelling, transparency mode, which in the Jbuds is called Be Aware mode, and touch controls on both earphones. If you have the new AirPods Pro 2nd generation, you'll also have the ability to find them if you lose them via the Find My app, and if they are close enough, the iPhone will actually give you real-time directions in order to locate them, as well as play a sound either from the earphones or the case. The Jbuds have an app called Tile that can also help you find your individual earphones if you happen to lose them. The earphones will play a loud sound, and the app will let you know if you're far or close based on how strong the signal is. It's not as accurate and detailed as the AirPods Find My features are, but they're pretty damn good, and honestly, for $70, it's a very welcome and surprising addition to an already impressive array of smart features. Now, unfortunately, not all is golden in terms of smart features for these cheaper earphones. For example, they do not have wireless charging, which can be a big letdown for some people. The AirPods have 3 ways you can charge them: wirelessly, using the Apple Watch charger, and using the USB-C or Lightning port at the bottom of the case. The Jbuds, on the other hand, have only one way of charging, with this strange looking USB-A thingy that just hangs from the case. For $70, I am not upset that they did not include wireless charging, but I don't quite agree with the choice of charging hardware either. As for the touch controls, they work great on both devices, but I do like the location of these and the stem, whereas with these is right in the middle of that big circle right there. I found that while trying to adjust them, I would click these touch controls by accident quite often, and I would end up lowering or raising the volume of whatever I was watching. The JLAB earphones are also a bit more complicated to learn in terms of how many touch features they have. For example, you touch once on the left earphone to lower the volume, and the right one to raise the volume, tap twice on the left earphone to bring up the voice assistant, and twice on the right earphone to play/pause music as well as hanging up a call. You can also Alright, that was a mouthful. You can quickly see how that can become pretty confusing. I had to constantly pull the manual out to see what I had to do. The AirPods are simpler. Swipe up or down to change the volume, one tap to play/pause the music or answer a call, double tap to skip to the next song, and triple tap to go back to the previous song. Some quick notes before I give either of these a score. Although the JLABs do have most of the smart features of the Apple AirPods Pro, some of the features do lack quality. For example, the transparency mode on the JLABs is truly awful. You can hear your surroundings perfectly fine as advertised, but there is a constant and very loud static noise while this is active. Your voice is also distorted and sounds just like having rubber ear tips in your ears, which I know you do, but transparency mode is not meant to sound like that. The AirPods are not at the level of the still king of transparency mode, the AirPods Max. but they do a much better job at controlling the static noise while still making your voice sound clearer. The active noise cancelling mode works much better on both devices, thankfully, and I will venture to say that the JLAB earbuds are 80% as good as the AirPods Pro in terms of noise cancellation, and for $180 less, I'd say that's a bargain. So overall, I will give the JLAB earphones a score of 7 out of 10 for having all of the smart features present, just lacking a bit of quality in some areas. As for the AirPods Pro, I will give them a score of 10 out of 10 for being truly capable of providing an amazing array of smart features while keeping the quality and the cost remarkably high. Okay, so durability is always going to be one of the hardest things to test because realistically there are way too many factors to consider, such as factory defects in specific units, quality control, and especially how each individual uses their earphones. I think realistically I would need to test both of these units over the course of 6 months to a year or more in order to determine whether they have good durability or not. So I will not be speaking to durability as I do not have this data. I will say that I have owned previous Apple AirPods and their durability is quite good, but the first thing to always go is the battery life. Now the build quality I can speak on, and let me just say that I really like the look and build of the JLAB earphones. For $70, I was expecting a decent look and build, but I am truly impressed by the quality of both the case as well as the earphones. The hinge feels nice and sturdy, and the material feels premium while still being nice and light. I have to say that I've never been a fan of the Apple AirPods look. I don't much care for the white, especially since it can get easily stained or dirty. I definitely prefer the matte black look of the JLAB earbuds and their case. This is, of course, very subjective, and you might like one over the other better. Other than looks, the AirPods feel great. The case has substantial weight, and the AirPods feel premium and light. I've never had problems with any Apple product in terms of longevity, so I assume it will be the same with these. Now, let's get to the elephant in the room. What is this? I was prepared to give these earphones a very high score, considering that their build is of similar quality to the AirPods in my opinion, but then I stumbled upon this strange choice of charging hardware. This is a USB-A cable that just dangles from the bottom of the charging case. It is way too short. The plastic feels sturdy, but I don't understand why you would build a cable that you know can get damaged into the case itself. If this cable frays, gets torn, or simply stops working, that's it. There is no other way to charge the earphones without the case, so if this breaks, you're pretty much out of luck. Now, the company does claim to give you a 2-year warranty on these earphones, which is nice, but I still hardly disagree on the choice of charging hardware. I think it would have been much better and simpler to just put a USB connector into the case and call it a day. Another thing to keep in mind is that the AirPods are IP54 water resistant, while the JLABs claim to be IP55. However, in the case of the AirPods, this rating is for both the earphones and the case, as well as resistances for dust and sweat. I think you should be fine working out on either of these, just don't submerge them in water. Overall, I give the JLAB earphones a score of 7 out of 10 for their incredibly good build quality, but I am worried about the longevity of the cable. As for the AirPods, I will give them a score of 9 out of 10 for having excellent build quality. I just wish that the battery wouldn't degrade as fast as they usually does. Alright, we have finally arrived at the final category. How much value are you really getting for the price you're paying? Let me start with the AirPods. If you have Apple products, then you're getting a great value here. The ability to easily switch between devices, the top of the line noise cancelling, the good transparency mode, as well as all the smart features that come with it, makes these the best Apple earphones your money can buy. Do I think these are worth $250? Originally, I would have said yes. But after using these $70 earphones for a while and seeing just how much these can give you in comparison, I cannot justify such a huge price difference. Thankfully, the AirPods do tend to go on sale quite often. I recently got these for $180, which I think is a much better value. Ultimately, your needs will determine how much value you can get out of your earphones. But overall, I will give the AirPods a score of 7 out of 10 at the $250 price point for giving excellent features and performance. I just don't think the price quite matches their value. As for the JLABs, I am truly impressed. The fact that $70 can get you this much for this little is remarkable. Yes, most of the features are weaker in comparison to the AirPods, but they are present and they work as intended. If we ironed out some of its biggest weaknesses, I truly think that these would be a steal in comparison. So overall, I give the JLAB Jbuds Air a score of 9 out of 10 for providing all of the great features that the top-of-the-line earphones offer while still managing to keep a very affordable price and great quality. Alright, it's time to see the result of our scores. The JLAB earphones scored a total of 53 out of a possible 70 points, giving them an overall score of 7.6 out of 10, while the AirPods scored a total of 61 out of a possible 70 points, giving them an overall score of 8.7 out of 10. This is only an 11% difference. Not too shabby for $70 earphones. At the end of the day, the value of anything will always depend on the user and how much it brings to their life. If you own a pair of Apple AirPods, you are getting top-of-the-line features and amazing build quality. If you own a pair of JLAB earphones, you're getting all of the smart features of the top-of-the-line competitors and all for an excellent price. Now, before we go, let's hear this message from our sponsor. Just kidding, I'm not big enough to be sponsored yet.